Hi, I'm your host, Anand J. Sukadia, and this is the Limitless One podcast. Join me on this journey as I interview the most inspirational souls who are tapping into their limitless blueprint on a mental, physical, and spiritual level to thrive in uncertain times. If you feel you are so much more than just this body, just this life, and want to tap into your limitless potential, you're in the right place. Here we go, starseeds. Hey, Griffith, my wife. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you. It's been a year since I've been on.
Yes, isn't that wild?
It's been
How,
a busy year.
yeah, it's been quite a year.
It's been beautiful.
Yeah. So last time we talked on this podcast, we talked about what it's going to be like, our emotions, our feelings, the pregnancy itself. And
Mhm.
now, a year later, we have this beautiful little baby.
Yeah, I think it was actually between Christmas and New Year's when we recorded the last one. So it was actually exactly a year ago. And so, yeah, we have this 10-month-old beautiful little being in our life.
Yeah. It's wow, it's such a difference in lifestyle, but at the end of the day, it is the most beautiful thing, the most beautiful gift
Yeah,
I think we've ever received.
yeah, definitely.
So now that you're a year in, almost 10 months with a little
Don't
baby.
rush my baby boy turning a
Yeah.
year old. He is 10 months old. He is not close to a year. Anyone who tells me that, I'm like, no, he's 10 months. He's
Yeah,
not a year yet.
absolutely. So 10 months in, after experiencing that,
hmm
your life perspective has must changed a lot.
Yeah,
So let's start it off with, what does living a limitless life mean now that
yeah,
you are a mother?
yeah. So, of course, I listen to your podcast, and I know that this is the question that you ask all of your guests. So, I was putting Zen to sleep the other night, and I was just laying with him, and I was looking at him, and I was like, how will I teach this little boy to be limitless? I think about this all the time. We actually ask each other these questions a lot, like, how are we going to teach him to be his most authentic, aligned version of himself? And I kept coming back to trust. And I was like, why do I keep coming back to trust? And I was like, well, that's what living a limitless life to me stems from. It's like trust in yourself, trust in the universe, trust in the path, the process, like just trust in life. And that's what I have to teach him for him to be limitless is to trust himself, to trust mommy and daddy right now. And with that trust, then he's going to be able to develop the most aligned version, the most authentic version. But it takes that level of trust within yourself, within the universe, to really allow, I think, that alignment and that authenticity to surface.
Yeah,
So trust.
absolutely. I think you mentioned authenticity, and our baby will know how authentic we are by living, how we live our lives. Are we
Yeah.
living authentically? Are we living limitless, abundance and limitless mindset? And we can't hide it from him
Yeah.
because he's going to see us in and day out.
Yeah.
So it actually makes us step up even more,
Yeah, of course.
on this pursuit of limitless lifestyle,
hmm
that this little miracle is watching everything we say, every expression on our
Yes.
face.
And our baby is very observant. And I
Yeah.
know like all babies are observing, they're all soaking it in, they're little sponges, but he sees everything. Like we open a cabinet and he's looking inside to see what's there. Like he wants to know what's behind everything. So I really, really think that you and I have to show him the way because I think that's the only way to teach him is to show him. And I feel like yes, having a baby makes you really want to like step up into like the best version of yourself.
Yes, and he gets his observation skills from his mama.
His attention to detail comes from mama. We'll
Yes,
see. We'll see when he gets older.
mama sees all.
Yes, she does.
So last time we spoke a year ago, we
Mhm.
went deep into the whole pregnancy process.
Yeah.
But for those who haven't listened to the podcast, and if you're listening out there, I suggest please listen to it because we really go deep into our decision making all the way up to it. But basically let's just kind of highlight some of the
Yeah.
major points on the manifestation aspect of creating this life and
Mhm.
then the pregnancy process.
Yeah. So from my perspective, of course. And for anyone who is listening, it took us 2.5 years almost to conceive. And so with that comes a lot of frustrations. A lot of that, with that comes a lot of questioning yourself, worry, is there something wrong? And so along the way, we really just had to like hold the pose. We really just had to hold faith that it was going to happen for us. And now, again, looking back at that time, one thing that I commend us on is that we continue to grow as a couple, continue to grow individually, and just trusted that if and when, like it will happen for us in whatever way it was going to happen, that we were going to become parents.
Mhm.
And I think that we continue to do our Dr. Joe work, go to Dr. Joe Dispenza retreats where we met amazing people. Some of those we ended up working with as they were healers in different capacities. And I realized like I did a womb healing, right? And that was to conceive, but it was also for me. Like it was also part of my healing journey to be the best version of myself when our baby arrived, right? So we continue to just hold the mindset that he's coming or she's coming and it's going to happen for us. And yeah, and I also was always in the energy of mamas. So I would see moms out there and I would really just kind of like honor them and wish them well and like kind of take and consume some of their energy in like a really beautiful way, and send them love on their journey, whether they were pregnant or they already had like a little one, they're walking with their bassinet or whatever it is. I really kind of just kept staying in that energy. I would go into a store here in Jersey City, that is, baby clothes, baby toys, all these little things. And I would just go and walk and not as like I was just curious, but I would go in there as if like my baby was already here and what is mama looking for? So I really wanted to stay in that energy of feeling like a parent already, to help us get in the right mindset and feel into being mom and dad.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. It brings me to something I think about all the time is like if you go into a Lamborghini dealership
Mm,
and you come in real timid and act like, oh, I'm not worthy of this
mm.
Lamborghini, the salespeople will immediately be able
Pick up
to
on that.
tell.
Sure.
But if you go in like, you got your shit together, you know everything
Exactly.
about the cars, you have the energy, the aura of you're acting as if you deserve it and it's for you. So everything that we is coming to us is going to happen. We don't need to be fearful of like if it's not coming, if it's coming. Hey, if it doesn't come, it doesn't come, and there's a reason for that, and there's a reason why our lives went to a certain path.
Yeah.
But I always held that belief that this is for us and we're gonna have this amazing baby. It's gonna be the
Hmm.
best thing of our life and just trusting, right? Because like you said, it's 2 years that we were trying to conceive, and we did everything possible in terms of eating the right foods, staying in alignment in terms
Hmm.
of mentally, physically, spiritually, doing all the meditation work. And so much of it is acting as if it's
Yeah.
already here. All the miracles are already here. And if you look at life, like if you look at it as a linear timeline, yes, then everything is separated. But if you look at it as one moment in time, every angle in which you look at life, you can see a different part of your life.
Definitely.
And I think that's really, the perception, I think, of the spiritual base that we carry our lives forward with is very helpful.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I always think like who would I have been through those 2.5 years? Like if I already met him, if I already knew, like now that we know that he's ours,
Mhm.
like I could have relaxed a little bit more into it. And now as we're trying for baby number two, it's a little easier to relax into it because like we know what it feels like and we know like he or she is out there, like they are coming to us. And so it's really beautiful to be in that mindset. And there's also like every time I would get a negative pregnancy test, of course, there was like disappointment. But I just kept remembering thinking, you know what? I'm so grateful I get one more month with my husband and my baby. I'm sorry, my baby. I was thinking of my dog, my baby dog, like our dog. Like I get one more month of just us as a couple
Mhm.
and just like would sink into that appreciation, like one more month to just be us before this baby's coming, and I just kept going in that cycle, to just be in that deep appreciation.
Mhm.
And then there's also a book, Spirit Babies, that I read. And in Spirit Babies, it talks a lot about mom or dad needing to go to a certain place in the world to retrieve their baby. So right before we got pregnant, you had went to Egypt. So I think there is this belief for us that it's very well possible that like that was something that you needed to do, check off your list to go and retrieve our little baby. And now knowing who he is and how he's such a deep soul and so much about him, like I really truly believe like in my heart of hearts, like you needed to go there and like retrieve that little boy for us.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It's there's two places on my list of destinations around the world. I'm like a real big geek into ancient civilizations. I've always had dreams of Egypt my entire, existence, my whole ever since childhood, and Peru was another one.
Yeah.
So the Egypt trip, came about. The opportunity arose to go with really amazing people, and I made the decision. We weren't pregnant yet. It was just us and the dog. So, you were kind enough to give me the opportunity to kind of go out there. And then the very first night, I went into the Great Pyramid, and inside the main room is the King's Chamber. And there's this sarcophagus. It's not really a sarcophagus, but it's this container where you can lay inside of. And they say that the Ark of the Covenant once was housed in there, and it's a very sacred place. People like Alexander the Great, even Jesus, there's documentation of him going in and laying in there and having spiritual awakenings.
Mm,
So I just had this feeling like this is something I need to do.
yeah.
I went in there, I had this massive Kundalini awakening. All of my chakras opened up. I left my body. I went into the cosmos, and I was able to connect with our boy, our son. And I told him that it's safe to come home. We're ready
Mm,
to accept you.
mm.
And then I just felt his energy. And then
It's
that was
beautiful.
in February, actually, yeah, almost early
Going into
March
March, and then we got
of
pregnant
23.
in May, so
Mhm.
2 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was beautiful.
yeah. All right, so he just went to Peru, you guys. So we'll see if he went to retrieve our second baby.
Yes, and I'll just kind of talk about that a little bit. So yes, again, like, now that stakes were even higher with having a baby. So Kate was kind enough to give me the blessing to go to
Good to know.
Peru. Kind enough. I mean, it's a lot. Dealing with a baby, just the two of us is a lot. With before that, we didn't have any help
Yeah,
in terms of babysitters or anything like that. And you had the baby, for 10 straight days. But
yeah.
anyways, I went there, had amazing experiences in the ancient sites, and there was a few different activations we did in these ancient megaliths, and I felt the energy of our second baby,
Mm.
and I was able
You
to
guys heard it here
yeah,
first
and I
on
was
the
able to
Limitless One podcast.
yeah. So let's see how the universe allows us to unfold this mystery.
Yeah, beautiful.
So let's dive a little bit back
Yeah,
further into the pregnancy itself and
sure.
just kind of review the pregnancy, how it was, and then the actual birthing process, which we didn't talk about on the last podcast because that was right before.
Hmm. Yeah, so I guess where should we start here? So,
Anywhere you
I
want.
was pregnant. We were working with an OBGYN, and yeah, I think we knew from the get-go that maybe OBGYN was not going to be for us, that we wanted to work with midwives and doula, potentially scope out having a home birth, birthing center, like. But when you get pregnant, I think your mind starts to race of like, oh my gosh, what if, what if, what if? And then being in the medical system for a little bit of time, and our OBGYN caring for us, I think there were a lot of, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say they were there. It's not fear mongering. I don't want to say that.
They're just risk averse.
Yes, very
Yeah.
risk averse. And so like I knew our baby was fine. I knew he was great. Like I knew he was perfect. Like I had a very easy pregnancy. I think a lot of that had to do with perspective. A lot of that had to do with mindset. And also trying for so long. Like even if I did experience like a little nausea or something, it was like everything is fine. We go for a walk, we get moving, and like it goes away. You stop thinking about it, right? Um, so overall, I had a very easy pregnancy. I was very healthy during pregnancy. We were told and had to go through some different processes because of my age. So I was delivering the baby when I was still 38, a couple months before I turned 39. So they kind of put me in like the geriatric
Which is
side of
ridiculous. They
things.
need to reterm
Reterm
the way
that.
they.
Yeah, reterm that. And also when you start looking at it, 35 is the age, or if that past 35 becomes high risk. And when you really start looking into things, that's a really old number that they came up with. And it has nothing to do with the individual. It's not individualized. It's really just looking at your birthday and saying like, okay, you're this or you're this. So they weren't looking at the fact that we're wildly healthy and take care of ourselves. Um, and then I had to go to some specialists because they thought some things came up. And, of course, that like makes you wonder, is baby okay? Is everything okay? But all along the way, like everything was always fine. Everything was always fine. Um, Everyone loves to tell you horror stories when you are pregnant. We were even in an appointment with a medical professional, and she was telling us all these horror stories about all these things. And I remember leaving there like in tears because I was like, that lady just scared like the out of me.
And can I just add that we went there and she was saying all these things. And the reason why we went there is because our OB did some kind of scan on us and said, there might be a little thing in the baby's heart. We want you to go and do a heart ultrasound
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
yeah.
There was a little calcium deposit that they saw
Mhm.
in the baby's heart and wanted to ensure it was okay. And I love how you say like she did a scan on us as
Mhm.
if like you were pregnant too. Like I was pregnant.
I was there.
You were there. So they did a pregnant on the scan on the baby. They also told us our baby was really small throughout the process, and he ended up being 8 pounds, 5 ounces. Like it wasn't small at all. So anyway, just being in that system, we realized that wasn't right for us. So the early into the third trimester, we switched to using midwives. Um, and really, like when I sat down with the midwives, like I just like took the biggest sigh of my life. Like sitting with them, the conversation, the appointments were an hour. They let you ask every question under the sun. No question was silly. OBGYN was like quick in and out. And it really just felt like home. So it felt really good being with them and in their care.
And it was
Yeah.
also, so we use Midwives of New Jersey. We'll give a little shout out to them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a place in Morristown we went to, and it's in a older home.
Home. Yeah.
So we're literally going into like bedrooms essentially that are,
They're they're
offices.
cozy
They're
though. They
really
have good
cozy. There's
lighting.
fireplaces in there. I mean, it's a beautiful environment. And the people from the ones that greet you at the front to meeting all the midwives, the way they do it is they have 7 different midwives and they want you to meet with every single one of them because depending on who's on shift at the time of your birth, obviously we don't know
When you're gonna go into
what day
labor.
is going
Yeah.
to happen. So they want you to be familiar with all of them.
Hmm.
So that was kind of, we loved having that because a lot of times, we talked to other people that had a midwife scheduled, they're working with one midwife. And if that person's on vacation or if that
Yeah.
person's not available at that specific time when the wife is going or the mother is going into labor, then what do? You don't have a midwife, or maybe they have a backup, but it becomes real complicated. It adds more stress to the entire
Sure.
process. So, we were very comfortable with the midwives and yeah, sorry.
Oh, no, no. And the irony in that is that even though we were working with the OBGYN and we had lots of appointments with them because I was with them from literally like week 6 until I don't know, week 30 something. And I never met with the OBGYN actually. Like I never met with the actual doctor that would have delivered our baby. And so you're making a decision to work with them potentially, but you've never actually met the person that might deliver your baby. And they
Mhm.
understand she's extremely busy and she's probably delivering lots of babies. But it didn't give me comfort in knowing like who was going to be there to coach
Mhm.
me and be there with me. So having met all the midwives, like we were super comfortable with every single one of them. They were all really amazing. Um, and so yeah, like we knew we were in the right hands. We decided also around oh my goodness, probably like week 38 that we were going to work with a doula as well because we knew that we would labor would start at home and we would labor at home for as long as possible. And so we hired a doula who is now like part of our family. Like our hearts knew what to do. Our ego was like, no, we don't need an additional person, but our hearts knew like she needed to be here for us in this process. And thank goodness she was because my labor was about 52 hours, started on a Saturday. Baby didn't arrive until late Monday night. And she was here for all of it with us to hold our hands, to make sure Anand was great, to make sure I was great. Like we could not have done it without her.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was one of the things we were like, just to highlight, we were deciding on whether it was even necessary to have a doula or not.
Yeah.
And we were kind of wavering for a while and we interviewed a few of them. Some of them didn't really resonate with us.
Yeah.
And, when we met Catherine, it did resonate. And then we were even talking to the midwives and people, associated with them, like, oh, we have a few different people there. There's the midwife, the midwife's assistant, and then also somebody else from time to time. So you guys should be okay. But honestly, having a doula there was one of the most important things I think really that we did decide to do. And I couldn't have imagined it any other way because yeah, we 52 hours of labor, you started going into contractions, inconsistent contractions around like Friday, the 10th,
Saturday.
Saturday, sorry,
Saturday,
the 10th.
Saturday
Yeah.
afternoon, like 3 o'clock or so. I literally like have a little pretend like I was gonna like vlog. Is that what it's even
Mhm.
called? Vlog throughout. And it was like, hi guys, I think I'm going into labor. Da, da, da. And then like I realized really quickly it was not at all going to document this. Like once those contractions started, and I was like holding on to the table, holding on to Anna. It's like I was like, okay, we are done with that. That was
Yeah.
that was a one and done vlog.
Maybe the second baby we do the
Maybe.
vlog. But I even asked you, I said, do you want me to film it? And you're like, no, no
No,
filming, no
it's like,
filming.
no, I just wanted to
Yeah.
be in the moment and my
Yeah.
body. And yeah,
So yeah, going back to it. So yeah, having a doula was super, super important for us. It's really the advocate for the mom, making sure that she's comfortable at every moment. The midwives were amazing. Definitely we would have been successful with just them, but I think having the doula there,
it's that added layer of comfort.
yeah, and it's like a motherly person being there with you to kind of hold your hand through the entire step of the way. And yeah, and now she's like Zenny's
Again,
like,
yeah. Auntie.
auntie and she visits us and we have we're always talking on Instagram and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And I guess, of course, right, like we attracted that. Again, our hearts knew that we needed someone, and our hearts knew that we needed her
Mhm.
specifically. Um, so yeah, so she arrives on a Saturday night and we go in, we're awake all night, with contractions, same thing, like all day Sunday. The midwives, of course, like she's helping with the communication with the midwives because once your contractions are consistent, that's when you would then go to a birthing center. And so she's helping with the communication with them. And yeah, finally on a Monday, that Monday, they're like, okay, come into our office. Let's see how things are going.
They
And
look for certain markers, I guess. I think it's like one contraction every for that lasts for a minute every 10 minutes or
yeah,
something like that.
anyone who's having a baby is going to probably know what
Okay, yeah.
these markers,
I don't know if
these markers
everyone
are.
listening to the podcast is very versatile. So
Yeah. Um, but I realize now is that, um, okay, so we didn't do a home birth because one of the individuals we work with at the OB had basically said, like, you guys should not do a home birth. Like, you guys need to be in a hospital. She knew that that was kind of like something we were considering. She's like, you need to be in a hospital. So that was in my mind. So we did a birthing center because that felt like a happy medium. But knowing what I know now, and Catherine, our doula, had mentioned this to me. She's like, you might be a really good candidate for being, at home. You're healthy. Everything is great. Everything has really been great throughout. And knowing what she knew about me, um, but I did the happy medium with the birthing center. But again, knowing what I know now, my body needed to be close to where my baby was going to be delivered.
mm,
So we actually on that Monday, so again, Saturday we start contractions, go into Sunday,
all night
all
long.
night long,
Yeah.
on Saturday and Sunday. And then Monday, we're like, you know what? Let's go, we're gonna go see the midwives, and then we're gonna go to a hotel that's nearby and just be close. Like, let's just go there, go that direction. Let's be close.
It was yeah, the hotel
We
is literally right next
it's
to the birthing
right next
center.
door, but
Right next door.
I wasn't dilated enough to be admitted to the birthing center.
Mhm.
And the moment that I got there, like my contractions became more consistent, everything sped up. And I realize now, like, there's like, physiology within, and my mind couldn't relax and my body couldn't really relax into labor until it was where it needed to be. And so your next baby, like home birth, all the way, like assuming that mama and baby are healthy. Um, so yeah, so 52 hours, I pushed for 2 hours at the end, and our baby arrives on February 12th, 2024 at 9:50 p.m. The most
8
beautiful eight
pounds,
pounds, 5 ounce,
8 ounces, 5 ounces, whatever it
and
was.
8 pounds, 5 ounces of just pure love. And I mean, he was beautiful.
He's beautiful. He had a football-shaped head because he
He was
came to the birth
beautiful.
canal.
Oh,
Um,
baby, yes.
but he's the most amazing thing.
And we chose the unmedicated birth, just to
Mhm.
touch on that really quickly. We chose the unmedicated birth, basically, who we are, but we looked into a lot of things. I did a lot of research throughout my pregnancy, like a lot, a lot, a lot. Listened to a lot of podcasts, a lot of sources, and also had to kind of clear out the noise of some sources that I didn't really agree with or didn't really align with our values. And I just didn't want any of the medicine. I didn't want Pitocin. I didn't want the labor to speed up. I didn't want an epidural. I really wanted to feel into this birth. Like I wanted to be fully present for it. I didn't want any antibiotics. I didn't want to be hooked up to any type of anything. Like I just needed this like free feeling um, throughout. Like that's what I really just craved. And even when it was taking a really long time and 52 hours, 3 days, my biggest fear throughout was that they were going to make me go to a hospital. Like that was my only fear. It wasn't like anything was wrong or I wasn't feeling like I could do it. Like it was like the only thing that I'm concerned about is they're going to make me get up and go to a hospital and I don't want that. So baby, please come. Please like please please.
Yeah. And one thing I'll add is everything is perspective again, right? So like when you're at a hospital, yeah, 52 hours is way too long because they want the process to happen as quickly as possible.
Sure, that probably wouldn't have happened for me. And also
Yeah.
knowing on a piece of paper,
Mhm.
me being 38, me being, I was past 40 weeks. I was 41 and 3 days, I think. And so like all those things would be like, okay, great. Like she's a really good candidate. Let's give her some Pitocin. And then if that doesn't work, like, I could have ended up in a C-section. New Jersey has a really high
Yeah.
C-section rate.
They have
And
protocols and the doctors, obviously want to do this as quickly. And also from their perspective, they want to do it as harmlessly as possible, not understanding that there are effects that happen when you're taking Pitocin and all
yeah,
these kind of things.
God,
So
I didn't want that.
yeah. And so 52 hours from another perspective is actually perfectly healthy. The baby comes out when it needs to come out.
Oh, so
Yeah.
41 weeks is actually very normal. Like
Yeah.
41 and like 41 and 3 days is very, very, very normal. It's just that the medical industry has made 40 weeks like their number. So it's 41 is so normal. Our midwives were like, you're fine. Like at 41, like, we'll worry about this if you get to 42 weeks. But like 41 in a couple of days is for a natural birth is very normal. I actually don't know anyone who had a natural birth that went into labor earlier than 40. So it's super normal. And you only know these things when you're doing the research.
Yeah.
And I spent so much time and energy um, listening to different podcasts and different resources. Also Ina May's book, Guide to Childbirth. Like you realize then that natural birth has been happening for thousands of
Yeah. Way longer than
years. Way,
hospital births were,
yes.
right?
And that's the one thing is, like nothing was wrong. Like having a baby is the most like normal thing, one of the most natural things that anyone will ever do. You just don't do it that many times in your life, so it feels a little scary, of course. But I didn't need to be in a hospital, and I know that, and I'm so happy that we chose that path for us, and we didn't, we really stuck to our guns and our gut instinct on that.
Yeah, for sure. Was there, you want to just also, before we kind of move on to the next part, but
Yeah.
like, do you want to tell us a little bit about, yeah, specifically the books that you read, and then also some of the specific podcasts you listen to? Because
Yeah.
there's so much
Sure.
information out there,
Yeah.
right? And depends on who you're reading, which doctors you're listening to. For instance, we had an unfortunate situation where we went to, because we were doing blood work and your iron was showing a little bit low.
Hmm.
You went on supplements for iron.
Yeah.
But before we started getting those test results back, there was a, I guess,
Hematologist.
hematologist
Yeah.
that said, "Oh, well, let's just before we even get the results back, let's just get you on these
Iron
iron
infusions.
injections."
Yeah.
And he started scheduling them without our
Consent. Yeah.
permission, and we never agreed to the iron injections. And the one comment he made to us is like, "Oh, I'll get in trouble if I don't recommend these."
Mhm.
And I don't know if he was coming from the perspective of like we need to bill you for these because that's what the protocol is, or he's being risk averse and saying, "Oh, it's better to put you on preemptively."
Sure.
But again, these injections, they do cause a lot of side effects. I
Mm,
mean, taking that high dosage of iron, it's going to affect anyone's body and also the baby's body. So,
sure.
when you're being bulldozed into certain decisions and pressured, you have to really take a step back and really see, is this the right path for us? And thank God we have a pretty good understanding of health and how we wanted to do this. So we were okay with saying, hey, thanks, but no
Sure.
thanks. But for anyone listening, there's a lot of information that, you might not see out there from a hospital perspective, from an OB perspective, but we listen to a lot of great podcasts that specifically break down all of these issues that we kind of went through. So if you want to just go into that a little
Yeah,
bit.
so you asked about books. The two books that I think are important are Ina May's Guide to Childbirth. Makes you again realize like natural childbirth is
Mhm.
quite normal. And then Spirit Babies. If anyone is, spiritually aligned, then you probably want to read that book as well. And then as far as podcasts that were helping us to make some decisions, whether, to give the baby vitamin K or the eye ointment, or deciding whether to vaccinate him or not. I think we already made that decision prior to, but it helped to affirm our decision. And then these iron infusions, the podcast that I was listening to is The Birthing Instincts with Dr. Stu. And then I also listened to a ton of others, just would go into the search and podcasts of like iron infusion when pregnant, and it
Mhm.
gives you like all the information. But it also turned out that like my iron really wasn't that low. So they were going to give me these infusions that do have side effects and could have side effects for the baby when my iron was, I mean, it was borderline low, like
Mhm.
borderline.
And
And
that's
when
because we were taking a lot of nutrition actions to get the iron up and then
yeah.
also supplementation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so again, this individual, the doctor there, the hematologist, had booked us for appointments, and then when he called me with all the results, he mentioned clearly in the call with me where my levels were. I wrote them all down and I looked all of them up, and they were all within range. And he said they were within range, but to be safe, let's get you in here
Mhm.
for these iron infusions. And so that's when I was like, it was a clear no for us. Um, yeah. So yeah, but Birthing Instincts is the podcast that really helped me to just feel really comfortable in a lot of the decisions that we were making.
Mhm. And then let's go into the mindset of the actual birthing process. Once we get to the birthing center, we're in a beautiful room. It's got like a water tub, and we tried all the different things that they have there, the TRX straps and
Mhm.
the pool, the water birth, and all this kind of stuff. Like, so tell us like how your body was feeling during this experience. Was there any
Mhm.
times in which your mindset shifted where you became a little more fearful, or you always knew that this,
So
we
there,
got
I
this?
think I've told you before, like there were multiple versions of me in that room. So there was a version of me that I really and truly believe, and they say like when you are birthing your baby, like mama goes to the stars to retrieve her baby and like bring him back. And so there was this version of me that I think, higher self, whatever you want to call it, that was like this sense of knowing that everything is fine, everything is great. I'm here. This version is like with baby and like ready to bring baby down. Then there was a version of self that was kind of overseeing the room and the way things were moving. And then there was the physical self that was experiencing the pain, the contractions, and going through all of that. So it's interesting because the two versions, the higher self, the one that overseeing the room, kept me in the physical form calm. And I don't, I remember just sinking into trust. And I'm someone who knows, again, like what's going on in the room. If someone's talking, I'm super wildly observant. And I just let go of that. Like I let the people in that room, the women that were meant to be there, our midwife, our midwife's assistant, and our doula. Like they were the individuals that were meant to be in that room with us. And this is the way it's meant to go. My contractions kept slowing down when I would get into water, and I just had to trust that that was what my body was telling me that was not the way that he was going to come into the world. That's what I thought was going to happen. This like beautiful, sexy, wild, like
Mhm.
um,
Coming through water.
coming through water.
Mhm.
My body just like stopped. Like, I got too relaxed. So he came into the world, and actually I birthed most of the time like on the toilet backwards with feet up. I guess it's very common for that to be like a really easy place for the body to relax.
That's when things just started really
And that's
moving.
where things would start to move. So like get back on that toilet, girl. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I didn't also like I wanted a really sexy birth, like sexy labor. And sitting backwards on the toilet is not the sexiest thing to happen. And then I birthed him on all fours, on a bed, my butt up in the air, like the entire room, seeing all areas of myself. Like, talk about vulnerability. But um, I mean, maybe you have a different perspective of it, but like I don't remember a time where I was like, I can't do this. Like I really and truly, because of the work that I did, I think meditation and
Visualizations.
visualizations, while it didn't happen in the way that I wanted it to happen, and as quick as I wanted it to happen, I truly believe every baby comes into the world exactly as they are meant to. Um, but I don't remember having doubt in myself. And
Mhm.
again, maybe that physical version of myself did. I do remember like I needed you. Like I needed to lean on you for support. I needed to like, and of course, there would be no version of me having a baby where you wouldn't be there. But I just like I've never needed you so much in my life to support and just love on me and tell me I'm doing a great job and to just be my cheerleader in those moments. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Do you have a different version of it?
You were completely, yeah, accurate in your description.
I've never been
You
so
were a
strong in my
rock
life.
star. You were so confident. You were so patient with yourself, and you just moved. Like obviously, there was a lot of position changes that you needed to do, but you were elegant, and it was a beautiful experience. Like the room was really nice. We had like candlelight on, and it was a very sacred time.
Mm,
And I just felt like even deeper in love with you to just watch you, witness you in your divine feminine going through this like metamorphosis, right?
mm,
It's like this thing literally needs to be birthed,
yeah.
and going through this process, it's the most scariest thing in the world, but also the most beautiful and the most freeing once that baby decided to come out at 9:50 p.m. Like just the look on your face, like
Mm,
the sense of it was
mm,
so worth it.
mm,
Every moment of this entire process was so worth it. To see you hold that baby
yeah.
and to get to feel, that emotion. And, I was crying because of just the love that you guys shared.
Mm,
And when I got to hold him, I just felt so much love. But I'm like, this is Kate's time. This is such a powerful experience, and she will forever
yeah.
remember this. This is the most important moment in our family's like,
Yeah.
history and future. Is this is when we begin our family. Obviously, we have our dog, which we
Yeah,
love
yeah.
very much, but
But it's a baby's in there. Like obviously you see your body changing, you see your belly growing, but like when you see that little being for the first time and they lay on you and you feel their warmth and you can smell them, like
Mhm.
that is a feeling like I never want to forget. It's literally the most euphoric feeling after, 52 hours
Mhm.
of labor and contractions. Like it's the most expansive feeling in the entire world. And I just want to share an aspect of birth. So we talked about all the midwives, right? And there is kind of the OG midwife. She's the one who started the practice. She happened to be there because in the birthing center there was another birth that was happening, which ironically, the other individual, the other woman in there, birthed her baby like 5 minutes after or before. I can't remember which one. So there's something about babies like coming at the same time, and
Yeah.
this weather change, a storm hit that night, and so it started snowing like right when Zen was born. But when this midwife, an additional midwife, came in because she was like, "You guys have been in there a little while. Let me go in and see what's
Mhm.
going on." But I remember seeing her walk in and just briefly, like I mean, I'm in
You're
contraction,
going
like
through it.
pushing,
You're
and I
deeply through it.
am on all fours, like I'm no, I'm facing one direction, everyone else is facing like um, and I see her at the corner of my eye, and my body just relaxed, and I remember just feeling super held by her She was pushing and doing all this stuff on my belly to get the baby to like come on out. But I just remember these beings, ancestors, like loved ones, angels, like coming into the room. And when I turned over to hold our baby, again, all fours, and I'm turning onto my back so that they can hand me the baby. I look in the room and I'm like surprised because I felt so many other entities there.
Yeah.
Like when Lisa, again, the OG midwife, like she walks in, I just felt this presence of so many beings. And then I turn over and I'm like, where'd they go? Where are their faces? So I truly believe like you were so held when you were in this process, when you were coming into motherhood.
Yeah, the portals of heaven open up,
Mm,
and that little soul comes to us in the physical form,
mm,
and it's being escorted by all of our loved ones,
yeah,
like my dad who passed away, your grandma,
yeah,
your
yeah,
grandfather who passed away,
yeah,
and it's a celebration
yeah,
because everything we are is thousands of years, hundreds of years of ancestry and
mm,
genes being passed on and successes and also hurts and pains.
totally,
And,
yeah,
you and I both have worked so hard on ourselves to heal so much of the lineages and also to not pass any of the pain
yeah,
onto the next generation. So our baby was blessed on so many levels,
mm,
to be able to have a mother like you and for all the work that we've done and all the
mm,
wisdom that we can share upon him. But he also has his karma, his
that's good, yeah,
destiny that he's going to be experiencing in this lifetime. And he has a mission. This guy is very determined.
yeah, yeah, he's confident, he's silly, he's so much fun, he's beautiful, like, he's got so much personality. I know everyone says that about their kid, but like this kid's got like some charm.
Yeah. The one thing I love most about him, and it just blows my mind, is when we go into an elevator or we go into even like online at the
Anywhere.
airport, there'll be some people standing next to him, kind of serious. We never really, if they're in the elevator, they live in our building, we've never really seen them smile. And then Zen will just break them down. He'll just stare at them right in the eye and just wait him out. And he'll just start smiling and start, putting that charm on.
It would
And
be the
then,
toughest looking
yeah.
individual too. And somehow like he
He
they
just
melt.
melt and
They
then they
melt so
start
see.
laughing and they start gooing and guying and like waving at him, but it
Especially.
just it just shows us like babies don't have any sense of like apprehension or any doubt in themselves. If I go into an elevator and even if I smile at somebody and they don't smile back, I'll be thinking to myself, oh man, is it me? Do they not like me? Am I do I look like I'm not like
Mm,
friendly, or
yeah.
is it them? Are they the asshole? So like we're going through all these stories in our minds about if we don't get a certain reaction that we're expecting, but babies, like, no,
No.
they're just emanating love. And even with our dog, Oni,
My
like,
dog is not so
yeah,
sure of the baby yet.
yeah,
He's not quite sure of him,
he
but
loves them, but he gets a little
he
bit
likes
like
his space.
scared when Zen's like flailing around, and Zen will always crawl after him, try to touch him, and then Oni will run away, but Zen never gets discouraged. And
No.
anytime he sees Oni, he's got this huge smile on his face. So it's like that innocence of the baby,
Mm,
how much love they have in their hearts and in their aura, in their field. It's like, how do we protect that for him, and how can we maintain that for him, in his entire life? Because that's really like all of us have that ability when we're born to
mm,
just emanate that field. And then somewhere along the line, we learn through behavior, through subconscious reprogramming, oh, it's not okay to be so open, so wide
mm.
open with our love. And then we get discouraged or we have these doubts and these fears and these insecurities. But once we get to a place where we start letting go of all that we learn, it's like, why can't we just continue
Yeah.
from childhood all the way through and just live a blissed life?
Yeah.
Um,
But it's funny because I see the way that he is, and he is such a little light, and it makes me want to be a brighter light.
mhm,
So it makes me want to have more conversation and be that same version of him or that
mhm.
version of me. So he is our biggest teacher, and these little lessons, they feel silly,
Mhm.
but he teaches us to be present more so, to stop and like look at the trees blowing in the wind and how beautiful like that is, or the sun shining through, or something that we take for granted, like that he thinks is so amazing. Like it's really beautiful to experience life with him in that way. And it's your perspective shifts of people, of things, like so many perspective shifts have happened since having him. And one of them is literally that, is just being a brighter light for him, but also for the world, because we see his light and we're like, oh, we better match that.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the biggest things I've learned with or realizations I came to after having Zen is just, yeah, this present moment, that's all that matters. And just to get a smile and a laugh from him, that's really the
Yeah,
only thing I seek in this life.
yeah,
After, having all these ambitions and everything like that, and I still do, but when it comes down to it, he's the only thing that
yeah.
matters at such a high level. Obviously, you and Oni and our family, and
Hmm.
that's like my everything. Without that, there's nothing else is possible. But to see his just joy,
Hmm.
it's just you can't put a price on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah. What is some of the biggest, I guess, realizations you've had since being a mom?
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think the love within our home, you think like you only have so much love and capacity for it, but you're
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, like I just keep falling in love deeper with our baby, with our dog, with you. Like I thought like, I thought we were in love, and I'm like, oh, like becoming a father and seeing you hold our baby for the first time, like I got to fall in love with you all over again. So this wild amount of love that fills our home. I think as a mama, you become like wildly intuitive. Your mama bear instinct also kicks in, but like very, very intuitive in nature. Um, and right now, like I don't have the time to overthink. Like I don't have the luxury of time to overthink or overanalyze anything. And so the beauty in that is I don't, because I'm so want to be so present with my baby. But the other beauty is like you realize how much time you spent overthinking something, working on something, creating something, when like just let that creativity flow, and the way that it comes out is the way that it comes out. I used to prep for my breathwork sessions or my sound healing sessions for hours before. And now I'm like, just show up and let the medicine come through. Like that's the medicine. The medicine's gonna come through if you allow it. It's when you start to overthink it or analyze it into in the analytical mind. So it's really brought me deeper into that feminine nature of like just being in flow, just being in trust. Like, the theme for this is just being in trust of all things. And yeah, I mean, I owe all of that to becoming a mama.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Mm,
Yeah, just flowing. That's really what it comes down to.
yeah.
What has been the biggest challenge, do you think, has been in your adjustment that you've had to make since being a mom?
So I think one of the things is I was expecting to get back to an old life or like a past version of myself. And so I was kind of waiting for that. Like each week postpartum, I was like, okay, am I like back? I was like checking, am I back to my old self? Do I feel like my old self, the old version? And I just came to the realization like that old version is in the past. Like this future version, this new version of self, and the way that I'm stepping into it as a mama and whatever it is that I'm going to create. I didn't plan on being a stay-at-home mom, but when I met that boy, like I just can't let go of him. So there's so many things. I wouldn't say adjustments, but just realizations more so that I'm having and learning and growing with him. Whereas I kind of thought like, well, no, you're the mom, like you're the one, you got to make the decisions. And I'm like, it's actually the beauty is like I get to raise him, but like I'm raising myself in this process too. And like I really, really love this version of myself. When I really am just in touch with my heart and the way that things, the way things are flowing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you've blossomed so much. I mean, obviously, you're such a beautiful soul even before the baby,
Mhm.
but you've blossomed so much and
Yeah,
leaning
thank
into
you.
surrender and trust and love. And, you have so much patience with our baby, especially at night when he wakes up.
Mhm.
and he needs to be cuddled, like I have a hard time getting out of bed, but
Mhm.
you were up right away and able to hold that baby. And the one thing our baby will always know is that how much love there is for him, and that he'll
Mhm.
never question the connection he has with his parents,
Yeah.
the love that we shower upon him. He'll never question the divinity
Mhm.
of his soul
Yeah.
and how connected he is. So I think that's really the one thing I want him to leave him with in, whatever my time is
Mhm.
that I leave this earth, is just knowing how loved he is and that he can accomplish anything. Because what do we always say? A child who is loved can accomplish
Yeah.
anything.
Can't do anything. Yeah.
Mm.
And I really and truly believe that. And I think a lot of that also stems from showing him that love, not only within his own, like that we love him, right?
Mhm.
But making sure like he loves him. And also like showing him the way that we love one another. And, like I want him to see that and to know like how much daddy loves mommy, how much mom loves daddy. Like that is so important so that he can experience love on so many different levels.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm.
So you mentioned being a stay-at-home mom,
Yeah.
and for the longest time up until a couple of weeks ago, it was just the two of us
Hmm.
taking care of Zen, just taking turns. You go to the gym, I give you balance, and I go to the gym or I go to work, or you have a breath work event, or so we've always been with him. Nobody else has been with
We
him.
managed for
Yeah.
9 months without
Hmm.
any help. 9 months and a few weeks
Yeah.
without any
Yeah.
with any help. And
It's
I have so much respect for us, and
yeah.
like it was such a beautiful time that we got to spend with
Yeah.
him solely.
It's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, it wasn't, I mean, yeah, it was a lot, it was intense, but at the same time, like, there's nothing like I would have traded it for,
Yeah.
And recently we've decided to have a couple of hours with the babysitter,
Hmm.
just to give us a little bit of time to individually take care of the things that we need to do, whether it's get back really more seriously into, for me, running the business, for you, getting more balance for your passions in life and
Yeah.
your mission and everything like that. So tell us, like, how are you now, balancing out understanding, yes, motherhood is your number one priority,
Hmm.
just as fatherhood is my number one priority, but then, yeah, like remembering to fill your cup.
Yeah. So, balance. I don't know that I think I'm maybe another realization is just taking balance out of the equation, always trying to find balance or trying to find that old self.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know that I'll have balance. He will be my number one for some time while he still needs mama so deeply. But I have realized that by having someone to help 8 hours a week, it's not a lot, 2 days, 4 hours each day, but it's just giving us a little bit of time and space to go to lunch together or do something together. And it's just opening up a little bit of time for us. And again, in this process of trust and trusting, I realized like he needs more love in his life, and it's okay to have someone else come into our home
Mhm.
that will just offer more love and different perspective, a different voice, different songs, different like games, and it's been really beautiful to witness this relationship because he is such a little lover, like he's
Yeah.
such a little lovey boy, so he just loves everyone around him,
And
but
he
he's
adjusted so quickly
so
to like
quickly.
literally the first time the babysitter came, like
He was fine.
smiling, laughing, like not even upset that we were
No.
away or anything. He's
But
just such a
I think
adapter.
he is, but I think it was that time we spent. Like he knows we're coming back.
Hmm.
He's used to like mom leaving for a little and coming back and being with dad and um, you know, and I really think we did the right thing. Again, I trust that we did the right thing.
Yeah, I totally believe it as well. And I
Yeah.
have so much admiration for you, for all the time and love and,
Mm.
not effort because it's effortless to be with him, but just the intention in which you spend time with him. And it's
Yeah.
always so much presence and so much love.
So that's what I mean, what I want from motherhood is for it to be full and to be full of love and laughs. And that requires my presence. And just, I want it to be full of joy. Like,
Mm.
I want to look back on every phase that we are in and just be in it with him. Like newborn is hard and he's
Yeah.
getting hard now because he's moving around and he's crawling, but I just want to be in it with him. And, as a mama, like my job is to keep him safe and secure and nourished, right? At the bare minimum. But like I want to keep him safe in his like expression. I want to keep him safe to be silly. Like I want to keep him safe to have that light on and secure in who it is that he is and learn to use his voice and like nourish his mind, body, and soul. I want that for like us. And
Mhm.
a lot of that comes from being safe within ourselves, being secure within ourselves, and nourishing our own self. So taking these little bits of time for ourselves to come back a better mom and come back a better dad is actually showing him the way.
Mhm.
And so, like that safety, security, and nourishment that I want to offer him is also something that we have to offer ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because yeah, we can't give from a half cup
Yeah.
or an empty cup, and making sure that we're nourishing our minds, our bodies, our spirits.
Yeah.
So for you, like you've always been so into fitness, just like myself, and health on all levels. How is how has it changed since you've been become a mom, and
Mm-hmm.
then your journey to get back, not get back to anything, but
Mm-hmm.
to live or step into this new
Yeah.
version of yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. I know, like bounce back culture is like a thing, right? So I'm not for I don't subscribe to bouncing back, but I also don't subscribe to like you're gonna lose your body forever or it's gonna change. I think when you have that mentality, you also are like a victim of the most beautiful thing that's ever happened in your entire life. So I never wanted to like start to phrase like, oh, my body is different, or my body has changed, or my body
Mhm.
is this or that, because then I'm becoming a victim of
Yeah.
literally like the most beautiful little guy that has ever been in my life.
Mhm.
Um, so really and truly, like fitness for me right now is just uh I love the gym and I love to move, but my priority is movement. It's not to get back to anything. I don't know. I think maybe I'm probably back at the same weight, but I don't weigh myself. I'm trying to just like stay away from that because that doesn't help me by any means. I think like my old clothes, like for the most part, fit. So like I guess I'm probably back too. But when I made it a priority to just move, to move that energy around, to just be, um, you know, moving consciously to get back to the things that I love, and that movement is one of them, and to not put any pressure on myself or any expectation. I swear, like the moment that I did that or I moved into that mindset, like that's when my body really began to change.
Mhm.
And I know there's a process, like while I was breastfeeding, like I was holding on to a little bit more weight. And maybe it was just timing wise, but I really have been working on the mindset aspect of it and really just envisioning like, I don't know, I want to be a hot mom. Like, I want to be a MILF.
You certainly are, baby.
Like,
Sexy ass woman.
want to have those things. So I just started to envision them and really just play around with mindset. And like that's one thing where I really want to teach Zen how the subconscious mind works, and how to manifest anything and everything he desires. And I'm like, let me play around with those. So I've really like played around with it my own self, and like I don't know. I'm pretty sure you can shapeshift. Like I'm pretty sure I have that ability.
Oh, 100%.
I really and truly think so.
So tell us a little bit about, obviously everybody is individual, everybody has different needs in terms of nutrition and
Mhm.
working out, different types of exercises. But what did you lean into, post-pregnancy to, evolve your body and your mind and everything in terms of nutrition and working out? Were there any specific
Mm.
things you really focused on?
So yes and no. I went back to workouts that felt good before, and they didn't feel good right away. Like I actually had to give myself a little bit more time. Like once I got the green light to work out from the midwives, I did a few workouts, and I remember just not feeling ready for it. So I did take a little bit more time past like, what when they said like I could go back,
Mhm.
and I truly needed that. I now know like I am so much stronger than I was prior to having Zen, which is wild. Like prior to getting pregnant. And it's because my nutrition has changed so much during pregnancy and after having him, just like being more conscious of choosing high protein, where maybe I wasn't doing that before, or maybe still I had like a little remnant of disordered eating from before, or fear of food prior to be getting pregnant. And so, there was a healing process within that as well, something I thought I had already healed from. But yeah, eating very intuitively, high protein foods. There's absolutely no restriction in this household either. I'd like to say we do like more of an 80-20 rule, but I think we're
Maybe
we're
this month is
probably
probably like
more of like
70,
a
30.
70-30, maybe even a 60-40 over
Yeah.
here sometimes. Um, but yeah, so no expectations of the body, and really moving intuitively and eating intuitively.
hmm Yeah, so powerful. Yeah, I've just seen you evolve so much over the years in terms of, lifestyle and, really honing in on just the way that we fuel ourselves is, the input that we put in is the output that we're going to get
Mm,
out. And every single decision we make to put inside of our bodies
yeah.
will manifest somehow. So like I just noticed like the other day we had a holiday party and we ordered pizza and I had an entire pie of pizza and then the next day I had pizza and then today I wake
You
up, I got a little
feel.
bit of a throat thing going on and a little congestion. So, it just these kind of opportunities allow you to kind of see, everything we do, every action is so valuable, so vital, so important to the overall being on your health. And I was just talking
And
to my barber, and he said, "Yeah, most of my staff is out because they're all sick. And what's going on? Oh, we got all the holiday parties, all the
holidays.
alcohol, all the
Yeah.
sugars and the sweets and
Not
everything."
getting sunlight, like it's all those things. But honestly, being a parent, like you're like running a marathon.
Hmm
So you really have to be choosing the right things for yourself as is, because you have to be on for this baby in the middle of the night, possibly. Like our baby's still waking in the middle of the night, so I wake up with him. So I'm really training now for this lifestyle, and he's a happy boy. He's 22, probably like pushing 23, maybe even 24 pounds now. So a lot of that, the things that we're consuming and the way that we're moving is also to be the best mom and dad possible and be the healthiest version of ourselves. I think it's always in the back of the mind, everything you're choosing, you're also choosing for him as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the biggest shift in understanding is, yeah, everything we do is not only for ourselves, but for him and to take care of our body temples because, yeah, like me personally speaking, like I'm 43, I'm going to be 44. My baby's less than 1 year old. So I want to be healthy as fuck
Yeah.
going forward and be there for a long time in his life and be happy and be healthy and take him on adventures and
Yeah.
explore the world and do all these things. So yeah, it's so important
Mm.
to take care of this body temple.
Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure.
So in terms of obviously after having a baby,
Mm.
the marriage,
Hmm.
I'm not saying it takes a backseat, but the priority is the baby.
Hmm.
So now we're at a point where we're really emphasizing a lot more on um, the way in which, how do we communicate better? How do we spend more time, quality time? Now that the baby has the ability to be with other, to a babysitter, and we have a little bit more time together.
Those whole eight
This
hours.
whole, hey, listen, I'll take 1 hour. It helps a lot. Like
Yeah.
right now, we're able to have this conversation because the babysitter
Yes.
has Zenny.
Yeah.
So tell us about, like obviously, you brought it to my attention, hey, so we need to spend more time together and carve out time and be more efficient with the way that we're spending time when we do have the free time. So kind of let's go over a little bit about, the philosophy behind that and how we're making more time to spend with one another.
Yeah, and going back to and being completely honest, our marriage, our relationship, yes, did take a backseat when having the baby, but he didn't quite realize how much, and it was almost like day after day, just felt like it was multiplying, and it was like, holy, I kept telling you, like, babe, I miss you, I miss you because I hadn't like felt you, like we were almost like both reaching out, but just like couldn't like grasp hold of one another. Um, because it's such a shift, and being with him 24/7 it was is a lot. um so I think we were kind of both going through it, and we both knew that we needed to make a change. And we both knew like it can't come from just one of us. It has to come from both. So I really think, we've kind of hit some like lows in our marriage after having him. I think.
Mhm.
Of course we know like we are fine and everything is fine and we'll get back to it, but it it's taken us to be really proactive with scheduling time to know like, okay, when the baby goes down, like I want to be showered and ready for bed so that we can have a couple hours together. So that like, the dog needs to go out every like, when the kitchen is already clean, like everything is done so that we can have a little time
Mhm.
so that we can really sink into it and not be on our phones, not be scrolling, not be working,
Mhm.
and just be with one another. And even if that's like meditating together, that's like just turning the TV off and being with one
Just
another,
holding each other, looking at each other's eyes.
even or spending time together when he takes a nap. Like his naps are rather early in the day. That's not really a time of day when we would usually like cuddle, snuggle, like hang out together, go in the bedroom together. But saying like, wait, this is our time and we need it. And we need to just like commit to this and this
Mhm.
time together. Um, so I think it's just us figuring out a system, a schedule, communication that works. Because I think that there was a little bit of irritability between the two of us. And I think I was probably getting a little, like, as a mom, you carry most of the mental load. And I think I was getting a little resentful. Like, you carry the mental load with finance and with the business and things. And I was carrying the load of the baby and this new being that I was getting to know and of course
Mhm.
falling in love with. And then I just realized, like, wait, this is this is my role as mommy. This is my greatest honor. Like, how could I ever be resentful for carrying this load? Like, it's the most beautiful thing. And
Mhm.
again, not being a victim of this beautiful being that's in our home
Yeah.
that we get to steward into life through life. So yeah, that's my perspective at least
Mhm.
on balancing and getting back to us.
Yeah, and it's like balancing the spontaneity of it, but also scheduling the time because I think because we have so many things going on with the business and you're also a part of the business, doing a lot of the marketing and the events and uh so it's like it's easy to get caught up in all the to-dos that we have
Mhm.
and finding the little nuggets of time when the baby goes down, but like the relationship and spending time together and that connection is such a high priority. It's like
Mhm.
the glue that holds all of it together.
Yeah.
So, realizing that and, understanding on my end, like, how much more I have to step up after having a baby on so many different levels and, just understanding where the amount of what you went through just physically and
Mhm.
emotionally and spiritually going through and having this child. So it's like it's the greatest lesson
Mhm.
of our lives is just to yeah keep evolving together
Mhm.
and sitting in that gratitude of having this beautiful soul. But it takes a lot of effort, to continue to become the best version of ourselves individually, together, and then as obviously
Yeah.
parents.
And again, I think I mentioned earlier about he's an observer. So he's observing everything, the way that we're communicating, the way that we're moving, the way that we are touching each other or not touching each other. I know he's only 10 months old, but I know that there is so much that he is taking in from us. And that realization also made me say, like, wait, I want him to know mom and dad like love each other.
Because then
And
it
to feel,
becomes, yeah, he thinks that is actually normal.
yeah.
That is what should happen in a marriage.
Yeah, although he is a little jealous, like when we hug and kiss and stuff, he does sometimes.
Sometimes he laughs
Yeah, and then
and
sometimes
smiles,
sometimes he's like, "Get off
and
my
then he gets
lady.
a little
That's
irritable.
my girl."
So that's so beautiful for you to share. So
Mm.
if we were blessed enough to do this again,
Mm.
which obviously is the plan, how would you do it differently? Or is there anything that you would do differently?
So yeah, and I already mentioned the home birth aspect of it, where I think I need that for my body to really just like
Mhm.
sink into the moment and for things to take place. And maybe the next birth will take another 52 hours, like I don't know, but I think that that's probably the route that I would take. I think also turning off the noise earlier. I think I even into motherhood, I was still kind of in the noise of like, oh, milestones and this and that and shouldn't. And I've really learned now to just like, own our decisions, trust our decisions. So I think turning off the noise. And I really think my first trimester with pregnant with Zen, I was really in like the physical aspect of having a baby. Um, even just like, oh, what crib do we want to have? Which ironically, he doesn't even sleep in a crib. We co-sleep, so the crib is just sitting there. It's beautiful and never used.
We
But like
sometimes put dry clothes that were in the dryer inside of it. Wait till the next day.
throw some things in there, yeah, that we need to put away the next day. But yeah, I was so in the physical of like prepping for that. I wish I would have spent more time just like connecting with and like being in like the spiritual realm of and preparing spiritually. So this next time I think we'll obviously be way more mindful of that. Um, yeah, I think those are the only things that I can think of at the moment.
Mhm. And is there any advice or offerings, wisdom nuggets that you want
Mm.
to share with any expecting mothers or mothers that just became a mom?
Yeah, so I think what I mentioned of turning off the noise, everybody loves to tell you horror stories, everybody loves to give you advice. And I think just like turning that off really early and trusting, like again, motherhood is just like one big trust fall. And I think just be in it. No stage lasts forever and they go by so fast. Whether that is pregnancy, like just enjoy it because now that I'm no longer pregnant and baby is here, like I haven't thought about pregnancy almost ever. That extra week past like the extra week and a couple of days past 40 weeks that I was still pregnant thinking like, oh, I'm late. Like I wasn't late. Like that was one more week we got to spend together and I got to relax and got to just connect with him, in inside of me. So I think just be in whatever stage they're in because none of those stages ever last forever. Um, and that's really it. I don't offer too much advice to mamas because I don't want to be one more thing, one more person adding to the noise. My advice is just always that turn off the noise and trust your gut.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Baby, I want to thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on this podcast. It's absolutely been the adventure of a lifetime to meet you. We were destined to be together and then to create a baby and to adopt a doggy. And just life gets better every single day with you. And I
Thank
am
you.
so proud of you as a mom. It is
Thank you.
literally the most beautiful thing to witness,
Yes.
how he looks at you, how he
Mm,
smiles at you, how he cuddles you.
mm,
It is, yeah, that's what divinity is. And that
mm,
boy is certainly divine and he knows he's loved.
mm.
And it's all because of his mama.
And his father.
Mm.
You guys have a really beautiful bond as well, and it's growing by the day, which I'm a little nervous about, to be quite honest. Like
What are you nervous about?
the dad may take over. Like he's not quite a mama's boy. Like he's very in between the two of us, but like his smile for you is like he's known you for lifetimes.
Yeah,
The way
for
that
sure.
he lights up with you. So it's been an honor to watch you become a father, for him to fall in love with us and our family and the love and all the things we're creating within this home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the next. Mhm.
you.
Love you.
Love you too.